Today I am starting a major commission to make two large sculptures for a medical company. The sculptures are based on research. The techniques I am using is similar to the black hole sculptures I make, which are actually gravitational maps. These maps are made from a matrix of contrasting woods, in this case walnut and maple veneer. I'm making these two templates. They're going to be sort of jigs really to hold the components together while I glue them up. And what it'll do is it'll allow me to make sure everything's lined up properly when I cramp them up. So I'm going to be using toggle cramps at the end and a stop, top, and on the sides. So I'll be cramping them up and making sure the components line up, and they're not going to be twisting like that when I'm cramping them. They've got to stay perfectly vertical. So that's why I've done this jig, and I've done another one for the larger components. So I'm going to put that together now, and then we'll see it in action. Here's one of the jigs that I've made, and this is one of the layers of the sculpture. 21 layers per sculpture, 2 sculptures to do, so I've got 42 of these layers to make. So there's one, and there's another one. So they're very accurately machined, and the jigs here got lines in them to help me line up the veneers in the right location. So these walnut pieces have been sanded down to 23.3 millimeters. So I'm double checking that as I'm gluing it up. Got these little toggle clamps there, and yeah, having to use extra clamps if things lift a bit. So I'm trying to keep everything super flat, and yeah, it's going well. So at the moment, here are similar layers that I've glued up. So that's 19 layers there so far. So it's going really well, and it's staying really accurately. So these have got to be sanded to 23.3 mil thick, and I'm going to have veneer in between those to make up that matrix. So yeah, I'm going to carry on doing this for a couple more weeks, and yeah, I'll bring you some updates when I've got something new to show you. So here we are with the 42 layers all glued up. That's what I mean by layers. They're all layered up like that. There's 21 layers per sculpture. So I'm doing the 2 sculptures. So these pieces in the middle are so big, I've had to leave them in 2 sections because they won't fit into the drum sander. So I'm going to be sanding those and then gluing them together afterwards. So anyway, yeah, so next thing I need to do is sand these layers down to 23.3 millimeters so I can then just glue them all together, and I'll have my 500 by 500 sculpture blank. So yeah, back to sanding, but it's going really well. So this is the sculpture straight off the CNC router. We used a 5-axis CNC router to machine this. So as you can see, I got some cleaning up to do. The lines have come out really nicely. Happy with that. So let me just turn it over, show the other side. Okay, so that's that side. And the shape is mirrored on the inside. There's quite a lot of detail there as well. So you can see how tight some of these spaces are in this sculpture. It's really hard to try and get to the bottom. I mean, it's got to be about 12 inches deep. I'm not sure if it shows up on the video, but that is quite a depth to get into to sand. Yeah, so I've nearly finished this. It's taken me a good day really to get this sanded to 120 grit. It won't take me long to go over it again with 180. That's the good thing. It's a bit punishing on your hands. I have used the barrier cream just to stop my skin drying out from all the sawdust, and I've gone over to using a glove on my other hand, this hand here, because it was starting to bleed. It was just getting through the skin. But yeah, you can see all the marks of just getting in there is really quite damage on your hands. So that's why this little tool is a bit of a lifesaver for me. So yeah, definitely recommend getting something like this if you're working in confined spaces. It's a lifesaver. So I've applied the first coat of special pale. I've cut it back with wire wool and a little bit of 240 in places I thought it was quite rough. So I'm going to apply the second coat now. So I've just got to soften the brush. So I think this is going to take about 4 coats because there's lots of end grain. Well, it's all end grain really, this sculpture, so it's going to really suck up the polish. Okay, that's the second coat. So what I'm going to do now is just wash this brush out with some meths. Leave that to dry for an hour or two, cut it back, and then apply the third layer. Here are the 2 sculptures. I'm just giving them a wax. I'm using pale or clear wax, and yeah, they're coming up really nicely. So there's that 3-dimensional effect, and then this is the funnel one. I can't go too close, but you get the idea. So that's how the walnut and the maple veneer create that lovely contrasting matrix effect really. Let me get a light on so you can see the 3D effect a bit better. Yeah, so they're nearly done. And they're both doweled into their plimps. The plimps are quite large. So that's the square one for the funnel sculpture, and then that rectangular one for the vertical sculpture. So here's the sculpture, or here's the vertical sculpture. Now it's on its plinth. you get to see the form, three-dimensional form, quite nicely now. So if I come on the inside, I need light, 1 second. It's not ideal situation for photographing the work, but the work's too heavy for me to move around too much, so I'm doing this in the workshop. So that's the side that goes inside sculpture, that's the internal shape, and then we've got the external shape which mirrors the internal. Here is the black hole sculpture. It shows the detail on the inside. The lens is actually flattening the sculpture a bit, so you don't get the sense of depth that you do in real life. I'm going to bring this light over to shine it in. Okay. There you go. The trick is to get the iron square on the wood so you get an even mark, which is a bit of a trick, but I've got used to it over the years. So I'll wrap this up and off it goes.